Hey guys, what's up? I had a lot of people asking me actually to show them my PSYSTYLE project. They were really curious to how I made the leads, how I made the PSYSTYLE kick. So I thought it'd be cool if I just made a video and showed you guys how I did it, and just go through some of the items in the project, things like the different layers for the melody, the different layers for the side bass kick, and also for the vocals. And yeah, just show you some bits and pieces that are done. So if we get started and we look at check out the leads. So that's the full layers. If I can break it down to you, we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6, 7 layers to the full leads, including the low end, the bass notes. So if we check the first layer, we've got kind of spire chords going on. Very tonal, kind of just simplistic kind of saw chords. It's got a cutoff filter when you filter it down. The second layer is kind of the virus layer, which I exported already. You can see it's an audio channel. I think it's important to have, like, the hyper saw layered together with something like a clean, really clean saw kind of sound. If you together, they kind of works really nice. The third layer I've got, this is the harmony layer over here. Typical kind of Toneshifterz patch. Also another layer, which is, this is the main, so it's not a harmony anymore. It's kind of a distorted, if we can check the preset, you can see like it's a distorted saw wave kind of thing. So take the distortion off. Sounds cool, but it's kind of like a standard saw thing. But with the distortion, just adds something different. It's a different layer in the whole mix of layers. So especially down, like when you go, if you take the cutoff filter down, it has a nice character. If I open it up a little bit, similar to the kind of Power of Emotion kind of lead that I did a long time ago, but with a different. That one's a bit more clean, but this one, because you've got some, it's like a saw lead and a bit of detuning. Yeah, you kind of get a different character, but it's a similar concept. Yeah, it's a pretty, works really well. And the other main layer for the leads is this one. So this is just like another distorted kind of layer. I've got a distortion on a separate channel. I'm using Venom for this one, but I really don't use Venom that much anymore. But for this particular patch, I had it on there. It's without any plugins. Kind of really standardish kind of sound, but then together with the processing, really high res at about 600 Hertz, going through the distortion, and then just some balancing EQ afterwards. The top two layers over here, they're just the bass notes. So, and then you've got like a top layer for the bass. It's just literally a high pass bass, really low. But I just like the buzziness of the top ends, and then together it's just kind of nice. And all together, kind of sounds like this. So that's pretty much the leads. You've got the arps over here at the top. It's kind of one of my signature sounds. It's in a lot of my tracks at the moment. So and then yeah, that's kind of the leads. And all in all, this is what it sounds like. So yeah, and then you got the vocal kind of in between, you know, the melodies in these kind of positions over here. I can actually show you how I processed the vocal. If we check the vocal now without any processing, well, let's listen to it first with processing.
Have you ever thought to yourself, are we really here?
And then without processing.
Have you ever thought to yourself, are we really here?
So you can see it's a huge difference. And I processed it this way just because I had trouble kind of getting it in the mix. And the reason why is you can probably see the name. It's you know, WhatsApp audio. I literally, you know, messaged Carlos and was like, dude, I would love to do some vocals for this track with you, but yeah, we didn't really have access to a studio. I mean, I'm in Holland, he's in Australia. So he literally just recorded it on his phone and WhatsApp and sent me the audio through there. And that was just like a demo idea, but then I decided to just use that and just process it in a way. And I can show you how. I've literally added some of this R-Bass plugin I use. It's from Waves. What it does is it adds, so if you set it to like 72, it starts to add harmonics of 72 hertz. I just did that because I felt like it was lacking in body, especially being recorded off a, you know, off a phone. I don't know. I'm not sure what phone he used, but yeah, it lacked a lot of body in the low end. Obviously, because yeah, the diaphragm of the of the microphone on the phone is tiny. You don't get anything. Secondly, I used this Soundshifter tool. It's like 3.5 cents almost. I pushed it down, just felt more in line. So
I mean, are we here in the physical form or in...
take it down.
I mean, are we here in the physical form?
I mean, there's so many other ways you can pitch. You can pitch just literally by taking it down like this, or I can actually physically, you know, pitch it. I have shortcuts, but if you just right click and just go to, you know, process, pitch shift, and that takes up to the same thing. But I did it this way anyway, just to have like a kind of channel strip that I can load on any kind of vocal and see what kind of turns out. Then I had some kind of creative EQing over here. If you hear it now.
Are we here in the physical form or another form? In the physical form or another form?
So I kind of like this cutoff here. It's kind of influenced by Star Wars Kylo Ren for voice processing when he's wearing the mask. I think that's pretty cool, and it's kind of influenced a lot of my tracks at the moment. Also with the track Shadows, it's actually my voice, and I've processed it in the same way and cut off the end. It's kind of a signature thing at the moment for that Star Wars, you know, I think they were kind of going for like a Darth Vader thing, but something kind of similar. And I found that they were cutting off all the vocals at kind of this kind of point. So I was like, okay, I want to do the same. So yeah, I did it in this track. I also did it in Shadows, just because, you know, I'm a big Star Wars fan. But also added a de-esser just to get rid of the sibilance from you know, the S's. Then another EQ for more balancing. So if you listen without.
I mean, are we here in the physical form or
so it's a little bit dull. I have to add a lot of high end back in.
form or another form?
There's a little bit too much body in comparison for the mix, because then I was distorting afterwards.
Are we here in the physical form or another form?
And I think with this body back into the vocal, I think it starts to distort way too much inside trash. And then I was just experimenting with the Bit Crusher, but I didn't really use it. So that's kind of, yeah.
Have you ever thought to yourself, are we really here?
Yeah, that's kind of how I processed the voice for PSYSTYLE. And then, last but not least, the kick. Yeah, this is what people have been messaging me most about. these are kind of the layers. I had a lot more when I was experimenting. I think I had about 10 or 15 layers, but eventually it came down to these were the main aspects. So here we have, you can listen to the full kick. I will solo everything. So that's the full kick. Now if we can listen to all the individual layers, I can explain them. So this is the kick, the thud, the punch. They're just two different, well, it's actually the same sample, but processing different on both layers. So on the first layer, you can see there's just the R bass to add some extra body to the kick. This one also has, it's just like a duplicate of it, but then I just wanted some more thud. And instead of EQing it in there, I decided to do it this way. I mean, you could also just EQ it in, but I didn't want to cut the lows here down at like 10 hertz. Sometimes cutting the low frequencies really low, like 10 or 20, whatever, can change the character or how a kick feels or sounds. So that's why I decided to do it on a separate layer rather than just EQ it in, because that would affect the full body of this kick. Then I have this kick tick. It's like a top layer. So if we hear the two layers together, sounds good, but I feel like it's still missing some click, you know, so it needs some extra punch for the mix. So with that one, and then I've got this bass line that I created for the top layer of the bass. And it's the same sample. I exported it from Serum. You can hear the Serum on its own. And then here I EQ'd the two different channels a little bit differently, just to get a variation, you know, when you're playing between them. And it kind of makes it feels like it's changing. It's like a synth. I prefer to work in audio when I'm sound designing, just because I have more control over the audio rather than in MIDI. Then I can, you know, get the phase exactly how I want it with the certain, you know, with the layer that it's lined up with. Then I had this top layer. It's more of a percussive kind of tonal layer. If you can hear this one, and this one is a little bit. These two are the same, but this one's just a slight variation of it. And then the low end, heavily kind of distorted, also low passed. You can see R bass and then LFO tool just at the end, cutting off the ending over here. Yeah, you can see it's low passed, and this was already a distorted layer from one of my kick drums. If it's without any processing. If I open this up, you can hear it. And they're not the same. So these two layers are the same. You can see, well, actually, they're in the same cycle, the same phase, but probably a couple over. And they're all different to give the illusion that the bass is moving. Then you've got this layer, which is just like a synth layer and very stagnant, but it's very warm in the low end, and it's not going to the master kick channel. If you listen to the master kick channel, it's just got these layers, which is all being distorted pretty heavily through just the inflator over here. And they just did some EQing for the mix. With the bass layer, kind of just adds some extra, more round body. And all together, that's pretty much the kick. The second time around, I have this kind of just like a hard punch laid on top of it. It's just this layer I did. without it. That's with it on. So yeah, there you have it. That's kind of how I made PSYSTYLE. So that's kind of the basic elements: the vocal, the leads, and the kick. If there's any other projects you wish me to, you know, go through and show you guys what I did, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. So yeah, take it easy. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.